the last thing that we'll be learning with Excel today, which is to do with formulas. All right. The most powerful part of Excel is its ability to do many repeated calculations instantly. And that, as we'll see today, that is a huge time saver over having to punch these things into a calculator, or even worse, doing numbers by hand. Okay, so one thing that will be central to all of this is the equal sign. Whenever you want to tell Excel to do, or Sheets to do a calculation, you always want to start with an equal sign in your cell. And that is like telling Excel or Sheets, hey, I want you to, instead of putting this next part as text, I want you to calculate the response or the answer. Okay, so let's consider if we were to, looking at the spreadsheet, this is some data on the coronavirus cases so far this year in 2020. And we have a column right here that is total cases worldwide. I keep on clicking that link on example. You have a column right here that is total cases worldwide, and the column next to it is the total cases not in China. That's, sorry, we'll do the next column right here. Column D is the total cases not in China. Keeps on bringing up the link. Okay, so there's the column, the total cases not in China. Okay, so let's consider that we're trying to calculate the total number of cases that occurred in China. If we do some thinking, you might say, oh, well, that's actually really easy. If I know the number of cases around the whole world, including China, and I know the number of cases not in China, then I should just subtract here, right? So I might say, okay, I do 580 minus 9, and that should give me whatever number that is. What's that, 571? And I hit enter. Oh, it actually just displays the text, 580 minus 9. But if I wanted to tell Excel, hey Google Sheets, why don't you calculate this for me? I can actually do that just by putting an equal sign. So I'm going to go into the cell, and then I'm going to click on this text up here if I want to edit part of this, whatever I typed here. And if I put an equal sign at the front of it, now you'll see some colors change, some fonts change, and that's Excel recognizing, hey, you don't want me to just put the letters 580 minus 9 into the cell. I want you to calculate it. And if I hit enter here, you will see, wow, that's 571. Isn't that wonderful? Now, if we were to copy paste down now, we would actually just get 571 in every single cell. And the reason for that is because I typed 580 minus 9 in the first one. When I copy paste it, Google Sheets will say, okay, I'm going to do 580 minus 9. I'm going to do 580 minus 9, 580 minus 9. That's not very useful, and that's not what we wanted at all. So let's delete this 580 minus 9. You can do that just by hitting the delete key on your keyboard on this cell. And let's consider instead another way of doing this, and this is by using cell references. Okay, so I'm going to, like before, I'm going to type here. Only instead of typing 580 and 9, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the cells that I want to subtract. So I type the equal sign. Now I'm going to say I want to subtract this 580, so I'm going to click the 580, and Excel will put the cell name of this location. It will say C3, which you can see here, C and 3. And then I will type a minus sign right here on my keyboard. I don't have to pick anything up. Okay, and then now I can click right here on the 9, and now I am doing C3 minus D3. And when I hit enter here, well, I still get my 571 from before, but here you will notice something magic. If I were to copy and paste down like this, wow, that actually calculates all of the cases in China. Why is that? Well, if I click here on the first cell, it says C3 minus D3. And when I click down one line, now this line says C4 minus D4. What Excel did when I copy pasted down is it said, okay, I want you to subtract these two cases. And on the next line, it said, I'm going to do the exact same thing, but I'm going to move down all these cell references one space because I moved down one space. And if I move down another space, I'm going to do that and do that and do that and do that. And you can see that all these cell references copy down as well. So I can use copy paste to do that. There's another way of doing that. This box in the bottom right-hand corner, this little square of this cell, if I put my mouse over it so that I get a cursor, I can actually click here and drag down like this, and it will do the exact same thing as copy pasting. It will still drag all the formulas. You can see up here, all those formulas are still the same. Okay, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to copy paste all the way down to the bottom of this column right here, and there we go. There are all my numbers right there. And you'll see that's really convenient. Okay, so what if, let's go ahead and do new cases. I'm going to extend that to you guys as an exercise for how to do it. I'm going to go ahead and do it right here, just to see how many new cases accumulated in a day. We'll do new cases in the world, so that will be from column C. So I'm going to do it like this, and let me know if what you guys get looks like this for your new cases each day. All right, so now that we've done those two, we've done some cell references, we've gotten some practice with subtracting and adding and doing calculations like that. Hopefully you can start to see some of the advantages that Excel will give you just by saving you from having to repeatedly calculate things. And any time in your life you see that you're having to do repeated calculations, that's potentially an opportunity where using Excel or using spreadsheets can save you a lot of time. Okay, for the last thing that I want to go over, it's locking in a cell reference. Okay, so let's scroll to the right here. I'm going to scroll to the right in my spreadsheet, and you'll notice here the hospital capacity in the US cell. Let's go ahead and bold that and format it. And the hospital capacity in the US is 975,000. So I'm going to take 975,000 right here. And you'll notice this number is not formatted, which you can format by clicking here under More Formats. And there's a number of ways to format it. I can click number right here and then adjust the decimal places. And there's my 975,000 with some pretty looking commas and things like that. Okay, so we have the hospital capacity in the US. You might think maybe we might want to know what percentage of the hospital capacity in the US is being filled. Okay, so here is the hospital capacity in this cell right here, and this is the first cell that has the US, any sort of cases in the US. So how do you calculate a percentage? You divide. So what we're going to do here is we're going to do equals to make sure we're going to calculate, and we're going to divide this 15 here by the 975,000, which we'll do right here. And then for the divide sign, you click this little dash here. Make sure you click the dash down here at the bottom of the screen instead of the backslash at the top. So we're going to do H27 divided by this one right here, which is M3. And when we hit enter, you'll see we have a very small percentage. You actually don't need to multiply by 100. Actually, there's a couple formatting options here. You can actually just click format as percent right here, and that will format that as a percent. And you'll see it's a very small number. Because that's a very small percent of the US population, or of the US capacity. Okay, so we've done that. Now let's just copy paste down and hopefully fill our cells. Oh, there's this weird divide by zero error. Now, if you stop to think about why this is the case, I'm going to stop. If you guys want to pause the video for a couple of seconds and try to predict why you think it's making that mistake. Okay, let's talk about it. Remember, when we copy paste down, the Excel says, hey, I'm going to look at these cells, and I am going to just move everything down one. And so it moves down H28 or H27. It moves down from this 15 to this 15, just the way we wanted it to. But the problem is that this hospital capacity in the US is just one number here, and we didn't want to move down. We just wanted to keep the cursor in this cell right here. So when we move down like this, oh wow, it was actually pulling from this empty spot right here, and that spot is 0, which is why we get this divide by 0 error. And then when we double click here, you can see now we're dividing this 15 by this one, and so on and so forth. And that's not what we wanted to do at all. So let's undo that real quick, and let's talk about ways that we can fix it. If you look here on this one that we did correctly, the first one, where we divided the 15 by the 975,000, we clicked it manually. We could, of course, do every other one manually, but that's a massive pain in the butt. Let's instead look here at our formula sheet. right here, our formula portion of this cell. So this is basically showing me the command that Excel, or what Excel is doing when we click this cell to get the 0.00154%. It's taking H27 and dividing by M3. Now that's fine, but what we actually want to do is we want to tell Excel, hey, when you move down for other cells, don't move down for M3. Stay here, because that's the position that we always want you to stay locked in on. And when you lock in a cell reference, you can put a $sign in front of either the number or the letter or both to lock in either the column or the row or both. Here, the only thing we need to lock down is the row, so that when we move down, this thing doesn't move down as well. So we put a $sign in front of it, and it looks like this. It says $3. And what Excel is going to read this as is going to say, hey, let's take H27, that's the 15, and let's divide by M3, that's the 975,000. And if we were to move around it all, we can move the H27 cell down or left or right, depending on how we move. But let's not move the M3 vertically. Let's just keep it right where it is. Here, I'm going to go ahead and put a $sign in front of the M because we don't want that thing to move around for any case at all. And now when we hit enter here and you copy down, you can see that well, we have some pretty accurate looking percentages here. It goes all the way up to around 1% over here today. Okay, so we learned how to lock in cell references today. That is the gist of what I wanted to talk about. I hope you guys learned some things. I will see you guys